Laura is here.
Hello, Laura.
Hello, how are you?
Very well. How about yourself?
Yeah, good, thanks.
That,
Yeah.
that's great. My name is SP, and Harley from Barney is joining us.
Great.
Are you Cedric?
ISP.
Can you hear us, Cedric? Okay.
Yes, I can.
That is great. Good afternoon, John.
Good afternoon, SP.
How are you?
So are you?
Very well, very well. Waiting for others to join, and while we are waiting, I'm sharing my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
That's great. All right, so we're going to cover this topic, anatomy of our dream ERP team. And before we start the session, in your comments, let me know a bit of scenario. So take a look. So there are two countries which may get into a battle. And if they fight, which country you reckon will win? They have a different strengths, and that's hypothetical. CMOS and glossy. Maybe take a look while we're waiting for others. In comments, type in which country you reckon may win and why. Have you got any comments, Hani? Or any? No?
No.
Okay. Okay. Anyone, any thoughts? Just pop in the chat and we'll kickstart in 15 seconds or so, and we'll jump into the topic. Okay. Let's get into the topic. So if others join, we will welcome them, but we'll kickstart the session. So this is Lunch and Learn. So welcome all. This is our Lunch and Learn session. The format is quite straightforward. For half an hour, you eat your lunch while you're listening in. Don't worry about taking any notes or noting anything. So I assume you're eating lunch or sitting back and relaxing while you're listening in, and 15 minutes is an open discussion. So that's our time for ask questions, share your perspectives, and really give feedback on what we have just covered. So it's a light and easy. There is no formality. What I personally expect, that's only one thing that is out of everything you listen. If anything resonates, take one action. So let us not make this a session as another information session. Please take action. And if you need any help, please reach out. This session is recorded and all the details will be on our website, so you don't have to take any notes. And yeah, sit back, relax. You can be off camera, that's all good. But we'll try to make a session in a way that resonates with you. And at the end of the session, we'll be opening up for any questions. All right, with that, let us cover the context. Now, the context is this. Imagine the project, ERP project is signed off. There is a need for us to form the project team that will be working on the project. And the question is where to start. So that is a context where we have got a new ERP project signed off. We need to form a project team and we are scratching our heads and say, look, where should we start? With that, we are going to cover this specific topic. However, whatever we are going to cover, this is a framework. This is not a final solution. So by the end of this session, you will not be able to form your project team, but you will have a framework. And that is the value you will get from this session. All right, and welcome all who have joined us recently. We just started with the context and we are getting into the scope. Now, when we say the ERP project team, ERP projects tends to be much bigger initiatives. They are enterprise-wide initiatives, and there are quite a few teams that work together. There is no one team. There are quite a few different teams that interact to make ERP project a success. As an example, we have a client-side project team. So these are all the individuals within the organization who is responsible to implement ERP. There are vendor-side teams. These are the ERP partners, implementation partners, who are responsible to provide consulting services, configuration within ERP, do the technical work, help migrate data. So these are all they bring in the technical expertise to implement ERP product. And then we have IT, ICT teams, which are engaged at a different levels to do technical work. It may be related to infrastructure, cloud, and so forth. Then we have specialist teams like integration. There may be quite a few integrations that the ERP needs to be integrated with other systems. There may be testing, reporting. There are specialist teams that we bring in to do specific work. And then we've got executive leadership that offers governance on top of everything. The key thing here is that the scope of this session is limited to the client side project team. That means we are not covering anything else. And that's something I wanted to clarify up front, that every other element which we are sharing now is really vital. This is really important. But because of the time and all, we are only covering the client side project team. The scope is limited to client side project team. Now the question is why it matters, why we are covering this topic. And the simple answer to that is our success depends on ERP project team. If we have got the right people sitting in the right positions, we have got much more chances that we are going to get a successful outcome. So it is really, I cannot stress it more. It is really important for us that we take time it takes to get the right people within the ERP project team, so we have better chances of success. Now the question is, okay, so we understand the scope and the context, and it is really vital for us to understand and get the right people in the project team. But when we say ERP project, what exactly it is and what is involved in the ERP project? And this is a quick helicopter view of what is involved in ERP project. And underlying theme is one, which we will see at the end. When we implement a new ERP product, and whether, say, let's take an example of Tech One, Ready Tech, or Business Central or NetSuite, we are bringing in a new product ecosystem. Imagine you're migrating from Business Central to NetSuite. NetSuite is much different from Business Central, and so is every other product. So we are bringing in a new product ecosystem that works, feels, looks very, very different. There are new processes, there are new workflows that come standard within different products. There are new data structures. The definitions of the entity, item, bill is going to be different with different products. We have got new reports, new controls in place. There are likely to be new different roles, which is, say, accountant or a financial controller. These roles are going to be different, which comes again standard with different products. There are going to be new policies, perhaps, a new technology stack, new integrations, ultimately new behaviors, because there are so many different changes. There's likely to be different behaviors as well. It may bring in different culture. So new culture, new decision-making models, new accountabilities, and ultimately new way of running our business. And if we look from a distance, ERP project looks like a tool, some sort of technology that we bring in that is going to automate things. But what happens is it brings in changes in multiple dimensions. And hence, we should be aware what it means for us and our business. It means that ERP is bringing a massive change. That's the underlying theme of everything which we have covered in the previous slide. So a massive change must be organized and orchestrated. That means we cannot just leave things alone and imagine that things will just take care of itself. It needs to be organized. And we must have an owner for each change element. Hence, we need a dream ERP project team. So far, what we have just established is that let us not assume that ERP project is a product which will automate the business and it's going to be quite straightforward. ERP brings a massive change in our organization. This change must be managed. So we need accountable people, accountable role for each dimension of the change so we can manage these projects tightly. We can manage these projects well. With that thought in mind, let us take a look at the building blocks of ERP project. So the building blocks looks like this. Any ERP project implementation, there is going to be new processes that are rolled out standard with any ERP project. We will be migrating data from our existing systems. It could be our existing ERP or bespoke applications. It could be more than one applications, but essentially we need to migrate data from our existing systems to new ERP. We will be getting new report standard or will be building reports. The architecture, business architecture, systems architecture, integration architecture, all different dimensions is going to be different, and someone needs to take accountability of that part. There are going to be integrations where our new ERP might want to integrate it with Office 365, our waste management system, our bespoke application, maybe our CRM. So there are going to be integrations within the scope. Again, someone needs to manage the entire project. So that's another capability we need. Ultimately, this is a lot of change. So the change management is really, really vital. Someone needs to train. Someone needs to train the new processes. Someone needs to train about what the standard ways of working is within ERP. Again, how to use the product. There is again the training element. We have to make sure that starting from requirements till the final product, we have a layer of quality assurance. So we make sure what we are delivering, our artifacts are of quality standards. we need an administration part where someone is a system administrator of ERP and we are getting the right roles sorted with the right security. We can manage, maintain the data integrity, privacy, all the data element right. Someone needs to support. So once we go live, someone needs to support this product, this ecosystem on ongoing basis. And ultimately, these things never stop and should not stop for obvious reasons. And that is where continuous improvement comes, and someone needs to take accountability from a continuous improvement perspective where enhancements, new upgrades are being managed end to end really, really well. So these are, there may be more building blocks, but I think it's a good starting point. This is a quick snapshot of the building blocks of any ERP project. And the next step we do is we overlay roles over these building blocks. So we cover project management. So we have a project manager who is ultimately responsible to manage the project. We have a change manager, training lead, test manager, ERP systems administrator. So all these roles are all they're doing. So all I've done is based upon these individual building blocks, I have mapped it to a role, and that is a good starting point to think about a team. But is it our dream ERP project team? No, it is just a start. But I think it's a good start because it is logically laid from the building blocks to a draft of how the project team may look like. And the roles are quite diverse, and each role takes accountability of each change element. Now, with this in mind, a few of you may be thinking, oh, look, SP, this is too much. We don't have such big project. We don't need, say, 10, 11 people in the project team. And few of you may be thinking, oh, look, SP, this is quite light. And you both are right, because this is, again, a framework, not a final solution. This is not the dream team for your specific scenario. So these things can get complex if the project is multi-layered, a big implementation which is geographically spread in multiple nations. There are multiple rules for currencies, and it's a massive undertaking. The project team will have complex needs and the project team will expand. As an example, let's take an example of integration. If the project is quite elaborate in terms of the technology integrations, then it's going to be integration lead working with systems analyst, with API and middleware developer, and then some infrastructure guys. And all of a sudden, one role, which was integration lead, turns out to be 4 different roles. And that happens. It's not unusual. It depends upon the type of the project we are working within. So the key message here is we started with our building blocks. We mapped to and each building block is mapped to a role, but this is a starting point. Now we need to start working on it based upon the complexity of the project. If the project is very, very small, it could be the project manager and change manager. We squeeze them into one role, but we make it clear that the role, whoever is covering that role, they are accountable for project management as well as change management. And so is with other roles as well. So I'm not suggesting we need many people or less people. So this is more of a framework. Okay, now I'll take a quick stop here and give me thumbs up or message. I just want to make sure that everyone can still is listening and you are with me, and then we'll move forward. So quick feedback from everyone. Okay, I got a few. Great, thank you. Moving on, so what we have established is how working on the foundations of building our ERP project team, and ERP project team can be quite simple. It can be quite complex. Now we are going to work and in this specific question is, how to decide the dream ERP team. So what if someone asks us, okay, we want to form this team, what is the methodology? What is the framework? And that's what we're getting into now. So to decide the ERP project team, we have a high-level sequence. So first, I must understand the environment under which I am operating. I must understand scope. Must understand the type of people, the capabilities of people available within my organization. And then I must be able to do good assessment to form the draft ERP project team, making sure that I fully understand environment, scope, and people. And then I formalize the establishment of the project team. So it follows this 5-step process, and we'll be jumping to the first element now. The first element is environment. And by environment, I mean, imagine you are in an organization and each organization has different culture. Few organizations are very hierarchical. There needs to be a certain process of decision making. Others could be quite flat. From a leadership perspective, there are different types of leadership. Few like to be dictated what needs to happen. Others give more leverage, and the decision making is more in a middle management. So each leadership style in every organization is different. The digital maturity is different. It could be that previous attempts of ERP may have failed. Those elements we must take into account. We must understand our stakeholders, our internal stakeholders, our external stakeholders. That may include our regulators, that may include people who audit our organization, perhaps our partners, customers, suppliers. Based upon the scope, the stakeholders could vary as well, and their expectations. So when I say environment, and this understanding of environment is these key elements of where we are operating, because this is vital for us to understand before we propose a dream ERP project team. So imagine we now understood the environment, so we know where exactly we are operating. Then the next step is we understand scope. Now the scope have different dimensions as well. Now it's a functional scope. The functional scope is what is the scope of ERP implementation? Is it, say for instance, local government? Is it property and rating, finance, human resource, or for manufacturing, it is operations, inventory management, project management, contract management. So each ERP implementation have functional scope. So we're understanding the scope of the project. How many different geographical locations are we implementing? How far apart they are? What are the constraints? Is it different currency? Is it different language? Is it different time zones? So all of these elements come into consideration. How about architecture? Is there any difference in architecture? Are we going to restructure? Are we going to restructure our business or technology within this project? How about data? Are we going to migrate data? How much is it historic data is going to be migrated? Yes or no? How many systems? And how complex the needs are for data migration? Similarly, integrations, how many systems? Is it two-way, one-way? Are we using a middleware? What technology are we using for integration? Have we got even approach for integration? And all these questions we must be able to understand to fully understand the scope of the ERP project. Now we have understood the environment, we understand the scope. The next thing is, based upon these two elements, we start looking for people who already are within our organization. So it is, who are they? They may be people who are now having different roles, but maybe we think, okay, look, this guy looks good for a project manager. He is available locally, and we know the people who their strengths are, where are they based, how much influence they have on within the organization, outside the organization, at different levels within organizations, their experience. So the key thing is, before we go out and say we need more people, we look in and say, okay, these are the sort of people we perhaps can utilize to form our ERP project team. With that information in mind, so we've got environment, scope, and people, we start undertaking a assessment. We understand, okay, we identify that we don't have key people who can do data migration, business analysis is lacking, so we know a few gaps based upon our assessment. We understand risk, we understand opportunities, we do some scenarios and say, okay, if we do this, this will happen. How about we form this? How about we split roles? How about we combine roles? So we do a bit of scenario analysis. Ultimately, we come up with a draft ERP project team. So this is a draft based upon the understanding of environment, scope, and people. We have now a draft ERP project team ready. With that, we get into the formulation, which is the last step in the process. And before we jump into the detail, we understand what is the decision-making process? Who is ultimately going to be making decisions on the final ERP project team? Is it a project sponsor? Is it a steerco? So what does the process look like? Now, do we need to table this on the next steerco meeting? So we understand the decision-making process. Then we socialize our draft team with the key stakeholders going through the decision-making process. Obviously, with their feedback, there will be some refinement. Once the draft is finalized, then we say, okay, look, we spoke to people, we have got the team settled in, they are available, we know their start date, we have sorted out the basics. Now let's do formalize. So we create a project charter where we describe role and responsibilities, terms of reference. So we start formalizing and then we finalize our dream team. And this is the dream team we are going to go ahead with, and all the different stakeholders are involved through the selection process. Now, again, this is a framework. Now, with this framework and trying to summarize, there are 3 points I like to share with you. So these are more of a closing thoughts. Firstly, forming the dream team, make it a milestone. It takes time. It is not easy process, and we should generally, I think we are rushed. This process is generally rushed because there are delays from the upstream processes. The vendor selection is delayed, or there are different delays to different reasons. And all of a sudden, we pick different people and say, okay, let's start the project. And that's, I think, one of the fundamental problems in that we face throughout the ERP. We do not take time to choose the right people and put them in the right spots. So the foundations are not there, and we struggle through the implementations, no wonder. So make it a milestone, allow time, and declare that upfront. It will take 2 months to get to the final ERP project team. And then if for any reason you feel like, okay, the project is already started and it's never too late, we should be able to have a line in the sand and say, look, let's keep on continuing with the existing team, but we need to form or revise our team. So let's not, if the boat has been sailing, let's try to make a difference wherever we can. It's never too late. And final point is that we're never done. So once we have gone through this process, there are new changes, there are new scope changes, there are things that we haven't considered. It's normal. So we keep an open mind and reassess what's working, what's not working. It could be we have to make adjustments within a project team. That's not unusual. So we don't stop after we have chosen our dream ERP project team. Always try to refine it wherever opportunities are there. We make some adjustments so they keep on performing and serving the overall initiative. That's the end of our session, and now we have another 15 minutes for us to really share feedback, ask questions, your experience, things that have worked, things that haven't worked. And then I would love to revisit the question which I was asking before I started. So out of two countries, if they go into battle, which country may win? We'll touch on that as well. All right, I'll stop sharing and over to everyone.
SB, we have one question from Laura.
Sure. Okay, what about moving from project management to production or operational ICT team? What role would manage that? Okay, so this is imagine. So Laura, let me know if I've understood it right. So what about moving from project management to production? So we have, say, phase one, which is complete. Now it is handed over to operational ICT team. What role would manage that? So is it a transition or when we are handing over to the operational ICT team?
Yeah, so who manages the transition, I suppose, until ICT take control of that new module and then further develop and implement? It's just that transition phase.
Yep. So the accountable team is the project management team, and that is not written anywhere, but I think this is maybe it makes sense where the ultimate accountability for handover must be with the project team. So they are accountable to make sure that we have gone live. The post go live issues are this. And after the transition, these are the training documents. These are the as build documents. This is where the specifications are, the entire handover. And there are quite a few things that are within the handover. They are logically handed over to the operations team, and from that point onwards they take lead on the day-to-day support, and this includes first line support, second line support. So it can get a bit complex, but I think we should have the handover accountability must sits with the project team.
And what milestone, what phase?
So if we go at we're implementing Tech 1. So I heard you say that before. So City of Armidale. So we're going through phase 2 of this project. So at the moment we have a one council project team, and we have all the pre-production environments that they're managing the testing and things through there. Then we go live as such in hypercare, and that gets put into production, which then we obviously have multiple go live issues and the fixing of that thing. So I suppose it's what I'm understanding is the project team would carry through to the end of hypercare, and then ICT take over the BAU. What about a solutions architect, which is in the ICT team, but manages the whole implementation and creation of the new modules, the architecture of that, the documentation, the governance of such? They report to the ICT manager. They're not in the project, but they're overseeing it. So once it is at handover point, it's handed over in the right way. It's been configured the right way. Processes have been defined correctly. Is that a suitable? Have you seen that solution before?
Yes. So their role is essentially a governance role. That's what I've understood. So they are making sure that whatever project team is doing, implementing one console, that complies with the standards of the reference architecture or the standards they have. So this is more of a governance role, that they're not doing something out of ordinary, which is hard for them to maintain. Have I understood right?
Yeah, correct. And then the documentation is in the way it should be. So by the time it's handed over to the ICT team, everything has been captured in the right way, and permissions have been tested and verified, etc. Test scripts have been performed in the right way through the environment, so it's a better quality product at the end, to be handed over, because that's a gap I suppose we've identified.
Yes, yes. And so this is a gap in the current project, you're saying?
Correct. Yes, this is a new role that we're looking to inject into the project, but have working in the ICT department.
Okay, I think maybe consider a few things. So certainly, as I've said, it can get complex, as I mentioned before. So when we transition, there are quite a few things that needs to be transitioned. The first thing, let's break down again, same as the building blocks which we have covered. And now data, have we migrated the entire data? So this is really checking what was the overall scope, what has been done, what hasn't been done, what is still pending, what is functional, what is not functional. So this has got different elements where, so I'll just list on top of my mind and we can cover details offline. So consider the solution architecture is one aspect, making sure that whatever team is building complies. But once the product is live, then we make sure that whatever the artifacts have been produced as a part of project are actually passed on to the ICT team, and those are technical as well as non-technical. So data migration or the reporting on data migration, the success of that, okay, that's one artifact. There is an artifact on the training. So what training documentation, videos have been produced, a report from a change management, things which have worked, haven't worked, and there was a resistance, and we go live. These sort of departments or directorates are still struggling. So this is multifaceted, and it feels like what happened. And this is like a common practice when we go live. We get too exhausted and we just hand over and then move on to something else. But I think if we set standards where we say when we go live, we expect these checklists to be complete. So we do that. We do justice with the ICT team because it's not just technical. There are quite a few things that needs to be considered. Let me know if I'm not making sense.
I'm sorry, my hands up doesn't seem to be working. Is it okay if I speak to that?
Yep, sure. Great. Go for it.
Here. I think you've spotted a really key item there. In that post go live phase, in that care or hypercare period. The challenge for the project team is very much substantially different. You have a broader audience. You have a lot more people with expectations that you if nothing else you need to communicate to and be good at taking your notes and taking away and considering solutions or problems. So look, in my recent experience, I was quite surprised at that very switchover point. Is that the importance of having really solid systems and for people to know what they should be doing in order to raise and to have your triage for inputs and solutions. The point of implementation is very, I've never seen that the whole organization is happy. ERP is always going to be a journey, and specifically at that point, you have to make trade-offs if you maintain your dates and your products. So there's always more work to be done. So it's really, really fruitful to have systems where and competences where you're well able to identify issues, resolve them, negotiate them, and get effective decisions. Because quite often some of this may have been that you had to make a decision to bring in current data that you'd like to reformat at a later stage in the future. So some of these solutions will be feasible to have a solution to in 6 days, 6 months, maybe a little bit longer. Those organizational competences for you as a project manager was my position. So to actually just have that helicopter view so that you know that what's coming in on the different product streams, you know what your assessment process is for those, and you know what your solution process is, and how you communicate with your governance team, so that you can make effective decisions and move forward. But ERP is never done. Certainly in the first 2 years post implementation, there's always plenty to do. So the important thing is to have really clear systems and not be relying on 3 different Excel sheets that are, stored somewhere. It's really helpful to have proper recording, assessment, and remediation sort of streams. Hope that's helpful.
That's great, Kieran. Yeah, so systems certainly help, and it's like a traceability matrix where we set expectations. When we hand over, these things must be ticked off, and it is not just technical. There are few things which are business related, but the entire set comes properly. Certainly. There is a question from Sandesh. Sandesh, this topic, thanks for asking, buddy. We have covered this topic in our last Lunch and Learn, and I've shared a link in the chat. If you take a look at the recording, and there is a slide deck there as well, and let me know what you think. And hope that helps. Vineet is typing. Any other questions or feedback?
Could I just speak to your presentation, if I may, SP?
Yeah, sure.
Is the most critical thing that I've found on ERP projects is that it's the people element. They're people projects, and they're challenges to communicate, negotiate, and move forward, and they seem quite vast when you break it down to the detail, and because of that, the people element I've found is really the most important thing. So creating that A team, or that you mentioned, you can never get enough good people, and as soon as you get good people, they may move on, or they may have events that mean they're no longer available to the project. However, be optimistic that if you have the right people on board, you'll always get the outcome you receive. So, but particularly in Western Australia at the moment, there's a challenge because, luckily there's a lot of employment available and people move about. So, it wouldn't be unusual to lose 1 in 4 in a year in the sector that I work in. So you must have your plan A, and the challenge is get that team in place, support them, mentor them, let them know they may be excellent colleagues who know their domain expertise really well, but they've just never done an ERP implementation before. But you can work on that. You can actually help them with that and prepare them on that. But those key people are the people who actually produce the outcomes. So it's a lot of fun to do that. But you always have to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, because as soon as you think you've got your plan in control, so something changes. So, a stakeholder, or a key member of here or there, or a key consultant isn't available on that day, so for that period. So the plan A is great, but don't rest. Always think of, well, if that person isn't available, or if that role isn't available, then how do I manage that? I'll give you an example. In a recent project I found it very difficult to get a business analyst who I wanted to have face to face and available. So I think in that case we used some external consultants to break down that task and that piece of the plan. That was my plan B. I don't know what plan C was. Luckily, I never needed to get to that. But team is critical, and the other point is pre-implementation, before you get your vendors on site, is your opportunity to prepare and de-stress everything that comes afterwards. It's very important. It's a very important period where you have some autonomy to actually get ahead or get off the mark. Let's say you don't have current processes, you could actually do some high-level processes over a 2-week period, and that can, if it's well chosen, that will be a source of great comfort in 6 months' time, rather than opening up that topic. Anyway, I'll leave it at that.
No, that's good. Thank you for that. And I think this is really, really vital that we plan A, plan B, plan C. That should be in our project plan, in our thinking with the buffers and contingencies, because these things actually happen. They're not always best case scenario. We are on time. We'll wrap up now. I really, really appreciate. Thank you. And it has been a great serving you all. Now, there's one question from Vineet. What is the best course of action when there is a delay in the project timeline in spite of forming the best team and planning, which do happen? In my opinion, I think we've got the right people and there is a delay in the project. I think we, if possible, we do not give surprise to the steerco or executives. We give them enough notice that the delay is coming through risk management, steering co, PSR, project status reporting. And if it is sudden, then we reset the expectation. These things do happen, and sometimes they're beyond our control, but we try to limit the surprise and shock and keep everyone involved. I hope that helps. And again, in January, we'll be having another session, and this is the last session for the year. So thank you so much. Harley will be sending us your feedback, and if you can give some feedback, I'll really, really appreciate it. And let's reconnect again for our New Year session. And until next time, have a great Christmas and New Year. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks so much. Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, SP.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Do we get a copy of your slide?